Okay, so for today we are going to learn how to use charcoal. We're going to learn how to use two different types of charcoal, and to begin you are going to take your sheet of paper and you're going to fold it in half, hot dog style. Fold it in half hot dog style once. That was not a good fold on my part, but that is okay. So now you have it hot dog style and you're going to fold it again. So now it looks like you have a little book. And then you're going to fold it again into a rectangle. And when you open it, you should have 8 squares. Okay, now you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different squares. And this is where your pen is going to come into place, and we are going to label each square. I'm going to do the first one, and then I'm going to have a picture right after this video of what you are to label each square. Okay, so our first charcoal technique we are going to learn is edge or tip. So we're first going to start off with the smaller piece of charcoal. I had a pretty big piece, so I snapped it in a more usable piece. You're going to hold it like you would a pencil, kind of like this, or if you hold a pencil like this, that works too. And you are pretty much using the tip to just draw. So I'm going to do a nice little swirly pattern here, and it's just a basic kind of pattern. And the same thing goes for the thicker piece of charcoal. You're going to use this tip, and again, kind of just draw. Kind of get you used to what charcoal is all about. Next, we are going to learn how to do side. Now for side, we'll start off with our thinner piece of charcoal, and I want you to put it down on your paper on its side like that, and simply drag it down. I remember doing this with crayons. You like unwrap the paper on crayons and you try doing this technique, and it's really fun. And these work well when you're trying to do like a shape and you want to do like the side of a shape, and it works for large areas. Again, we can try the same thing with our thicker piece of charcoal, and it makes a more grainy feel because this charcoal is a little more coarse, so something like that. Okay, now we're going to kind of upgrade a little bit, and we are going to work on hatching. And we're going to start with our thin piece, and hatching is pretty much lines that are next to each other. And the big thing with hatching is it's okay if you overlap lines, but you don't want to crisscross. So you want to make sure you keep the same kind of pattern. And if you want to do some curvy lines, that's okay too. But hatching is pretty much lines that you do right next to each other. So like this could look like hair. Or if I wanted to make a shape like a circle, I could do hatched lines all together until I make my circle. And it's just lines that are next to each other. That is what hatching is. You can even make a flower if you wanted to. Lots of different things. Next, we are going to learn how to do cross hatching. And it is similar to hatching, except that our lines are now going to be able to crisscross. So first, I'm going to start with my thin piece of charcoal, and I'm just going to draw lines going up and down. You can have a variety, thin, thick, doesn't matter. Now, this is where the fun part comes in. We are going to crisscross those lines. It almost looks like a tic-tac-toe board if you've played tic-tac-toe before. And this is used to help create shadows in drawings and all sorts of things. And same with my thick piece. We can do another little circle here, and it helps create more dimension, which makes a dimension is like 3D, so it makes an object look more real. So there's my first set of lines, and now I'm going to cross hatch them, which means go over them to kind of create a little bit of a, you can't see it as well with this piece, but I want you to try a shape, square, rectangle, triangle, and try some cross hatching to create it. It turns out really cool. All right, next we are going to be working on finger blending, which is my favorite charcoal technique. As you can see, my hands are kind of dirty already, so there's some charcoal on here. So if you notice, if you kind of just rub, kind of rubs the charcoal off. I mean, I don't have enough on here, but what you typically do is you'll put down a little bit. Make sure you press lightly, because I will show you why. So press very lightly, and then blend it in with your finger. And if you're like, oh, that's super light, just add some more lightly, very lightly. I'm barely touching the paper, and then blend it in with your finger. And if you notice, it looks like you have a little smudge. And these smudges are used to create, if you're working on a drawing of a person, they are used to create skin. So we like to use a finger blending technique because it looks so smooth and it works well to create skin on our portraits of people. So, and depending on what kind of value is how light or how dark you want it to be, you just keep adding more. So if I want this to be a little darker, I keep adding more charcoal and rubbing it in with my finger. Now, if you're annoyed with these little marks here, you can kind of just rub really hard or rub with a clean finger and they should come out, or you can erase them gently with your eraser, like so, and then blend with your finger, and it kind of gets rid of that line if you don't want it there. So have fun with this one. This one can be really fun. And yeah.